Okay, good morning, Year 8s. This is your first reproduction flipped lesson, part 1. And a flipped lesson is described where the classroom is flipped around and you'll be watching this presentation at home while filling these notes out yourself. And why could this be helpful? Well, you're learning at your own pace and you can pause and restart and go back if you need more help. You're in control of when you want to do this work, whether it's time after school or at lunchtime. And you're learning at home, so it's easy for your parents to assist if required. So let's start off our reproduction theory. So reproduction is to enhance survival. So the question I've got for you guys is, which of these organisms do you think can live the longest? So I want you to mark on your sheet now, which of these organisms do you think can live the longest? Is it the narrow-leaf campion flower, the carrion beetle, the hydrozoan, the Neptune seagrass, or the fungus? So circle those, which one you think right now. Okay, let's have a look. Well, the narrow-leaf campion flower can live up to 32,000 years old, which is amazing. But that is actually not the oldest living organism here. The carrion beetle, it lives inside dead animals, but it can only live up to 1 year old, so it's not the organism that can live the longest. Okay, how about the fungus? So this fungus is the largest organism in the world. It grows up to 4 football fields, so imagine 4 mcgs, but it is not the organism that can live the longest. Okay, the Neptune's grass is one of the oldest living plants in the world. It lives up to 100,000 years old, but that is not the oldest living organism to enhance its survival. It is the hydrozoan. Okay, so this hydrozoan is similar to a sea jelly or a jellyfish, and it's able to restart its life cycle when it matures. So when it becomes an adult, it goes back to a little bud. So let me just show you here, and here we go. So what this guy would do is he'd have this little hydrozoan like this, and a little bit of its bud would fall off and then make a new bud and grow into another hydrozoan. So it's pretty much technically immortal, meaning it can never die. Okay, so there are methods of reproduction, and there are 2 basic types of reproduction. You've got sexual reproduction, which needs 2 parents, and asexual reproduction, which only needs 1 parent. And asexual reproduction creates a clone of the parent. So what type of reproduction do humans do? Well, of course, we have 2 parents, so it's sexual reproduction. With sexual reproduction, it involves a male and a female parent, and both make genetic contributions to offspring. Okay, so offspring is another word for its child or it's the young that it makes, through a single cell, such as an egg or sperm. Eggs and sperm are special reproductive cells called gametes. Okay, so here you've got your sperm from the father and the egg from the mum, and once they join together, it makes a zygote down here, and that's the offspring over here. Sexual reproduction, when an egg and sperm join together, it is called a zygote. Here we go. So again, egg and sperm creating a zygote. And this divides into an embryo and it makes a baby. You've got some types of sexual reproduction which animals undergo, and it's called hermaphrodism. Okay, so some animals contain both male and female sexual organs, and these are called hermaphrodites. So the testes, which is the male part, make the sperm, while the ovaries make the eggs. And in this flatworm over here, you can see this flatworm has ovaries and it's got testes, so it's got both reproductive organs. That's the definition of a hermaphrodite. It also happens in garden snails here, as well as clownfish. Now, an interesting fact is In 2013, a 66-year-old Chinese man went to hospital and doctors found out that he's actually a woman with internal female parts. So he was actually a hermaphrodite. And if you watch Finding Nemo, in real life, Marlin, because his wife died, in real life, Marlin would have become Marlena because he is also a hermaphrodite. He would have become a female. But that's not how it happened in the movie. If we look at sexual reproduction in flowering plants, flowers are reproductive structures in plants that produce gametes and allow fertilization to occur. This results in a seed. Okay. Now over here you've got the parts of a flowering plant which you will have to learn. Okay, so you've got the non-sexual parts, so the petal. Okay, here. You've got the sepal, this is a non-sexual part. Okay, and you've got the flower stalk. These are all parts which don't have a gender. Okay, but then you've got the male and female parts. Over here, the stigma. I'm going to write in here female. The style, which is also part of the female part, and you've also got the ovule down here, which is a female part. So this part in here is all female. Now you've got the ovary is part of that. Let's put F there. Now the male part is the anther and the filament. Okay, so anther we'll put M, and filament, which is also M, and this is this part here. So a flower has both reproductive organs as well, a male and a female part. This is the steps for reproduction in flowering plants. A pollen grain, which is step 1, is produced in the anther of the flower, which is the male part. This pollen grain is required to be deposited on the stigma, which is the female part, and this process is called fertilization. Pollen can be transferred through various ways. Can you think of any ways at the moment? Well, one is birds, like the hummingbird over here. You've also got wind, so sometimes wind blows seeds around. Okay, and insects, so you've got your bees and that kind of thing, which transfer pollen. Once landing on the stigma, the pollen grain travels down the style and into the ovary, which produces eggs. Okay. Step 4, the pollen grain joins up with an ovule and the process of fertilization is complete. The fertilized seed, also known as an embryo, develops into fruit which holds all the seeds, and the seeds are then contained in a seed coat and wait for water and warmth to grow. In the right conditions, the embryo sprouts out of the seed coat and produces the first plant growth called germination, which is the prac that we did. Plants other than flowering plants have different methods of sexual reproduction. So conifers such as pine trees also make seeds, but they don't have flowers. They produce seeds in a cone. Ferns and mosses don't make seeds, but they still produce embryos. So here is your cone, and these are some mosses.